Hello, and welcome back to Flatlander Reviews. I'm Flatlander, here with another review, but not my hat. I'm sorry, I left it in my other vehicle, which isn't here right now. So, I apologize. I know I'm practically naked, no hat, regular t-shirt. But, it's been a while since I been on here. I had a fire with the chicken coop. Church made it out. He's just missing some feathers. He'll be in videos coming up. Now this one is a restroom review, Sanitary Sunday, or Sanitation Sunday? Sanitation Sunday. So it's a restroom. Now to get here, I drove through a snowstorm to show you this. I mean, put my life in peril to show you this back. Now, after the fire, church went to live with my in-laws for a while because I had to rebuild the coop. So we went and visited him and then went on and saw this restroom. But anyway, the snowstorm's just been playing behind me over here. So yeah, not horrendous, but nonetheless sucked driving through. This restroom is in Edwards County, Kinsley, Kansas, to be more specific, as the sign says. We are in the Edwards County Sod House and Museum. Now, there's a lot of farm implements outside, which you can see behind the sign. The sod house, I have no pictures of it. You can see the side of the building it's in because they actually built a building around it, and a lot of you may not know what a sod house is. Now, in Kansas, we are grassland plains, and back in the day when people were coming across Kansas and settling in Kansas, there weren't trees. Eastern Kansas has trees, but central and western Kansas, no. There are trees now, but if you're ever out in Kansas, you'll notice that they grow in lines, and that's because farmers plant them as windbreaks after the Dust Bowl. So there weren't a lot of trees, so what people would do was they would take the top, yay much of sod. Sod is the top layer of topsoil with the roots of the grass in it, and stack them up to make a house. So that's pretty interesting. We're here after hours, so I have no pictures or video of the sod house. It's interesting to look at if you're into that thing. It's kind of a niche thing of early Plains frontiersmen and antique farm implementations. But it's interesting to some, including myself. Now, one thing that I really liked here, aside from the restroom, which we will get to, calm down, I know, it's a review of a restroom, not this museum. I'm sorry. There's a lot of things here, and I'm only showing you a couple. So, anyway, they have a steam locomotive out front, which here's me standing in front of it to give you an idea of how tall they are. I'm right up against it. I'm just a head taller than the cattle catcher. I'm not even up to the boiler on it, and I'm 5'9", if that gives you any idea. I barely come up to the top of the wheels. Like, I might be slightly taller, but you can see how massive it is with me in it for scale at 5'9". There's it without me, obviously. And then another view of it in the coal car from a little further away, so you get the whole thing. But these things are massive, and people don't usually realize how big they actually were. Now, you can go up in it and look at the firebox and whatnot, and that is a gripe I have. I wish they maintained it better because it's damaged and it's rusted and it's graffitied, and I feel like that's something that would be very easy to help prevent. Just give it a yearly paint or something to help keep it from rusting so bad. But nonetheless, it's free. It's cool to look at. You can climb on it and look in it. So that's worth a stop just to see that. And there's a gazebo where you can sit and have a picnic. This is between two highways, not like major highways. I think it's Highway 50 and then a little side highway that just wraps back around to 50. But yeah, it's a nice place to stop and spend some time just looking at stuff. There's even a church that they brought in. It's from the late 1800s or early 1910s. I can't remember. There was a plaque. We were there after business hours, so I don't have pictures of the inside. I don't have any pictures of the sod house or the museum other than you can see the building it's in next to the church. But on the plus side, there is a restroom. I mean, you just look at it and you see it and you immediately go, it's beautiful. Look at the glory of it. The inside's exactly what you'd expect looking at this picture of it. And not to toot my horn about photography, but I like the way it looks like a tree's growing out of it because, yeah, it's intentional. I framed that shot beautiful. But you go inside, and it is exactly, like I said, what you would expect the inside to look like. I mean, look at this beautiful thing. Words cannot describe. You should have sent a poet. I don't know if you guys seen Contact, but that's what that's from. The urinal flushes, so that's a plus. There is a weird stain that looks like a coffee ring right on the curve of that urinal, which it's in a video that is not wanting to play. It got corrupted. I actually had to format my camera while I was trying to download these videos and photos into my laptop. It just said no. So these are the only ones I have. So we'll make do. I'm sorry about that, but stuff happens. The urinal worked, like I said. The cold side of the sink faucet, it works. Hot doesn't, which isn't really that surprising because of where it is and the nature of it. And for some reason, a lot of places now don't have hot water in the restroom. Or if they do, it barely gets warm. And I don't know if that's an insurance liability where someone's like, oh, I scalded my hand because I don't know how hot water in a sink works as an adult. I don't know. The toilet, though, that was something different. It flushed, like the water came into it, but it wasn't clogged. But then it just rose up to the surface of the bowl and stopped. Now, honestly, I'm thinking it's an issue with the plumbing underneath it. I think it was frozen because the day we were there, it was about 15 degrees, and that's the middle of the day. The morning and the night before, we were in the negative 15s to negative 20s. So with it just being a concrete slab with the plumbing under it, I do believe it was froze. The bathroom itself, though, while not great, it was warm and lit, and it worked, and it was 24 hours. It has a locking door. Now, there is that large stain across the floor that was damp when I was there still. I want to say it's urine. I feel like it should be urine, but it's just snow melting on the outside coming through under the wall. Well, not the snow itself, but the snow right against the wall. Because like I said, this was heated, but not very insulated. So I think it's just melting snow coming through the barrier, water, moisture barrier, and through the wall because it's all concrete. It's just, the wall stacks to the concrete wall to concrete floor. So I think it's just poor construction or the age of it. I don't know how old this restroom is. But the toilet paper, that was something else. That took me a minute to find it because it has been not only locked, but armor plated and disguised to look like, I thought it was a fuse box or something locked up. I didn't know. It took me forever to figure out what the toilet paper, where it was. And then I just happened to notice there was just a littlest bit of white showing. And yeah, we have the most secure toilet paper on the planet. Padlocked, armor plated. No one's getting this toilet paper. Now, that, what do you think? Call that thing, raise your hand. The air dryer, I guess. It had the generic graffiti on top that was reminiscent of the 90s, where it has a time to meet them there for some loving. Of course, they always have a time and no date, so it's not specific, but it cracked me up because I didn't know people still wrote stuff like that anymore. Like I said, I haven't seen it since the 90s, so that made me laugh. I'm not going to lie. If there was anyone else in the restroom, which I'm glad there wasn't because it was a single capacity restroom, they would have looked at me like I was crazy. But I'm clearly not crazy. I'm just some dude that likes chickens and restrooms. So, but on the back of the door, on the way out, there was a beautiful poem. Let me read you this poem in case you can't read it on the screen. One bright day in the middle of the night, two dead boys got up to fight. Back to back, they faced each other. They drew their swords and shot each other. A deaf policeman heard the noise and went and shot those two dead boys. So, yeah, I really do like that poem. It seems familiar. I'm too lazy to look online and see if it's an actual poem or not. But I really want to say I've heard it somewhere. But if not, congratulations to the author of, the poem using, the median of a bathroom door. It is truly art. There was a lot of other graffiti in this restroom that didn't really show up on the camera, and a couple that did, but my camera crashed, or I don't know what, it corrupted, so I couldn't put it on there. But a lot of it was hard to see anyway, because it's the white, most of it was on the white vinyl wall instead of the gray concrete, so they just scratched it and it was hard to see. Some of them were really random, like one said, "That's a nice title," by the toilet, and I don't understand that. And then there are some other ones that were the more generic political messages, like F word Trump, and then followed up with no F Biden, followed by F no F Trump, and then random Bernie Sanders rocks. So I don't know. There was a lot of that old school childish graffiti in here, which it cracks me up, because I was born in the 80s. I grew up in the 90s, and you don't see that stuff really anymore. A lot of the modern graffiti is just like, the lazy, randomly drawing certain World War II Nazi symbols and homosexual slurs. But these are the more, back in the day graffitis where people actually put down random stuff that only means stuff to them, unless it's political, then that's something else. But I don't know, that amused me hardly. Now, I do have a video of the restroom just panning across, showing stuff working and not working, but I detailed it pretty well, explaining it. I will see if the video will upload onto the back of this video, but I really don't think it will, because my computer won't play it all the way through separately. It starts to glitch and stuff. But if I can get it fixed, it'll be at the end, and I may narrate it, or it'll just play. We'll see how I feel, and I don't know how long this video is now, but I feel like I've been rambling. I just wanted to give you the update on that and, talk about this restroom. But back to the museum and the town of Kinsley. The museum itself is nice. I wasn't able to get video because, like I said, we were there after hours, but I've been in it before. And if you're into stuff like that, it's a pretty interesting museum. I don't remember if the museum part's free, but like the inside of the museum is, but the outside is, and it's where you see steam engines and farm implements. That church is open during business hours. I have not been in that though, which if we get up there someday where it is business hours and we can go in, I will get some video of it just as a not review. I'm working on another channel called Simply Flatlander. I haven't started any videos, so you probably won't be able to find it. But I'm going to start leaning more towards that, honestly, and I do apologize, especially to my newer subscribers. I appreciate all of you. Speaking of which, Sir Chimpin Esquire, I appreciate your tenacity of subscribing based solely off of like 2 of the alcohol reviews, and actually watching my cheese and wine pilot episode that never took off, and giving me something to complain about, or whine about, if you will. But I'm not going to review Joe Biden, because I try not to talk bad about the elderly or mentally disabled. So that is the most of a review you're going to get on that. So I do apologize. I will keep uploading on here. It's been sporadic already, and it's hard because I don't have time to go out and get these and then edit them. I don't really do much besides go to work and take care of stuff here around the house with the animals and upkeep. That's why I'm leaning towards the Simply Flatlander, where I can just deal with, I don't want to say vlogs, but basic stuff, chicken care, coop maintenance, house maintenance, stuff like that. Maybe some cooking videos, stuff like that. Just more simple videos where I don't nitpick stuff. I'm tired of being so critical of stuff, and it's so hard to find a restroom that's public that I'm not critical of. So far, the only one I would strongly endorse is Love's, which you've seen that video. I'm assuming you have. A lot of people liked it in the church video the most. So anyway, yeah, I'll see you around. I'm going to try to put up a video Wednesday on the just random review, Worthless Wednesday. So thanks for stopping by. I've been Flatlander with another review.